Good evening, everyone. This September 15th, 2020 council meeting is now called to order. All council members are present. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and continue standing for an invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Powell, lead us, please.
Father, we came into this house tonight, which is an unexpected place, and we're all wearing masks. And so, Lord, we know that all is not well. And this is something that affects our community in a way that only you can fix, Lord. So tonight as we gather in a public meeting, we just publicly ask you to take away the illness, to give us cures, to empower doctors and scientists, to bring something that will take us back to our other building where we can peacefully meet together without the mask and with the smiles that we're used to and the touch and the handshake, Lord. We just ask you to grant our prayer that in this community we will be able to do that. Lord, we've had other sicknesses that are so very obvious in communities around the world and around the country, and that is division, Lord. And we just ask you to heal us from that one too and bring fellowship and love and harmony and trustworthiness and faithfulness to each other, not just into this room, but into this community, so all of those diseases of division in this country will not be in this place we call Social Circle. And Lord, the people who are standing up and keeping us safe from both the disease and from the division are people that work here. We just ask you to bless our police department, our fire department, and all those other people who work in this city and bring peace and wonder in a time of distress, Lord. We just pray that in months ahead that you will grant us relief from all of those things and bless those people who keep us safe in the interim. Lord, we've got important business tonight, and we just ask that in that brotherhood and sisterhood way that you bring peace into this room so that we can make good decisions that are wise and faithful to the things you call us to. We pray our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Powell. Announcements for this evening. First on my list, the lady sitting next to me, Teresa Price, Councilwoman Price. Her birthday is coming up on September the 17th. Happy birthday, Ms. Price.
Thank you.
Of course, we're in the council meeting tonight. The GIC, Georgia Institute Initiative for Community Housing, is September the 22nd at 1 p.m. That's a Zoom meeting. Our municipal court will be held September 16th and 17th in the community room. Planning Commission has a meeting on the September the 22nd, 6 p.m. at the Social Circle Theater where we are tonight. Tree Board meeting September the 24th at 6 p.m. in the community room. Our next council work session will be October 1st, 2020, 6:30 p.m. here in the theater. Social Circle Development Authority, October the 8th at 8:30 a.m. That location is to be announced. Downtown Development Authority, October the 8th at 10 a.m. in the community room. Main Street Commission meeting, October the 13th at 8 a.m. at the church at the Grove. Our next GIC meeting is October 13th at 10 a.m. That also is a Zoom meeting. And the HPC meets here, or meets in the community room on October 13th at 7 p.m. And our next council meeting will be October the 20th at 6:30 p.m. also in the theater. Next up we have presentations. First item is a T-SPLOST presentation by Walton County Chamber, Ms. Terry Smiley.
Y'all already know about T-Splost.
Yeah,
Face them? Okay. Let me see if I can turn this around. Okay. So I think some of you might have been at the last council meeting where I told y'all that the Chamber Board had approved for us to manage the T-Splost campaign for a yes vote. And the citizens will be asked to vote on this 1% sales tax on the November 3rd ballot. Nobody likes a new tax. Nobody likes potholes either, right? Nobody likes sitting in a intersection where you can't get around anybody. And we all love, nice sidewalks to walk on and golf cart riding and all that kind of thing. So you can't have any of that for free. It all costs money. Sales tax is the fairest tax. It costs the citizens and residents less than property taxes. Sales tax is shared by residents and visitors, so visitors coming through also contribute to our sales tax that we earn. Again, none of us like potholes, high traffic areas in the county. The only way to continue to improve our roadways is to pass the T-Splost in November. Just with that 1 penny on the dollar, 1% sales tax, we're estimated to raise $60 million in Walton County to go toward roadway improvements and sidewalk improvements. I don't know what happened to my mic, but the county and cities have met. I'm afraid it's going to be really loud if I keep talking. The county and cities have all met. They've discussed the transportation projects that will be approved with T-Splost, and our slogan is keep Walton moving. So that's what we want to do. Passing the T-Splost will leverage funds from state and federal government funding sources as well. 93 of 159 counties in Georgia already have a T-Splost tax in place, and 21 counties are currently considering a vote. Some will also be on the November ballot. For Social Circles projects, they'll be working on general roadway improvements, miscellaneous sidewalk and drainage improvements, and asphalt patching, resurfacing, and striping. So whether you're planning to absentee vote, early vote, or vote on November 3rd, we would love for you to vote yes for T-Splost. You're welcome.
I don't know if my mic's working now. It is. I'd like to follow up with what Terry said, that if the T-Splost were not to pass, then the impact on Social Circle would be about $3.5 million to come back into our general fund, which we would not have the funding for. So we would leave that amount of money on the table. So it's very beneficial to us, like Terry stated, for our sidewalk projects and some general transportation work. So thank you very much for considering that. Next item up is the employee introduction and recognition.
We don't have any introductions this evening. We'll defer that to the next meeting, and we can move on to the downtown rundown.
Okay. Ms. Amber, are you here?
Good evening. Downtown rundown. Lion and Lionhearted Golf Tournament was scheduled for this Friday, September the 18th. It has been rescheduled due to poor weather conditions. The rescheduled date will be Friday, October the 16th. This Friday, the city is excited to partner with the Social Circle Lions Club, Church at the Grove, Corinth Missionary Baptist Church for the USDA food distribution. I've been working with the Lions Club on this, and we're very fortunate to be able to bring this to Social Circle. We're going to have 1,680 boxes of food to give away. This will be done as a drive-through, so the cars will come in. The map is on the screen that's behind you. The cars will come in, pop their trunk, we'll load the box of food in for them, and have them drive out. We'll also have an area set up to the side with staff to help fill out census for anyone that has not completed the 2020 census. The Social Circle High School will be doing their annual homecoming parade through downtown. This year, the parade will extend and cover the same route as the graduation parade that was done a few months ago. The parade will be September the 24th at 6 p.m. Downtown will be participating again this year in the Social Circle Elementary School Pink Out for breast cancer awareness. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we will put up pink ribbons in downtown to show our support. Pink Out Day is Friday, October 2nd. And then we are 2 weeks away from the 26th Annual Friendship Festival. We currently have 52 of our 65 spaces filled. To keep up with social distancing guidelines, we'll space all the booths out at least 6 feet apart this year. We're not putting booths through the center of town, and we're requiring all the vendors to have hand sanitizer at their booths. We will have a mobile restroom trailer this year with running water, so visitors to the festival have convenient hand washing stations. Registration for the festival closes on September the 21st, so we're hoping to have all our spaces filled by then. Any questions?
Thank you, Amber. Any questions for Amber? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, Adele, you're breaking up.
we do have employee
Okay.
this evening, so if it's all right.
Yes, please.
Chief Brinkley?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, citizens of Social Circle. I'd like to ask Officer Orr to step forward, please. We can blame everything on COVID-19. We had some more individuals, but unfortunately they couldn't be here. Officer Orr was recognized in our 2019 banquet earlier this year for our safety of speed detection here in Social Circle, Georgia. Our Georgia Officer Highway Patrol safety grant that we have, he's been here about six years. And thanks to Officer Orr, the city is a lot safer in speeds and reckless driving here. So I would like everybody to give him a round of applause, please. Downs. You step down. Sergeant Randy Downs been with the police department about 4.5 years, and Randy has a plethora of experience in law enforcement. He was promoted to the rank of sergeant the latter part of last month. Randy also is our training coordinator for the police department and does an exceptional job with training officers and keeping us legal. So I would like to, everybody give him a round of applause, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for your service. Next item up is a citizen request, and we have a presentation, Master Gardener Pollinator Garden at Friendship Park. And Janet, I know you're speaking, but will you invite the other ladies up and introduce them, please?
It would be my honor. Thank you, Mayor and City Council members, for letting us present this opportunity. We really appreciate the time. I'm Janet Bones. I'm the president of the Walton County Master Gardener Club. I have 2 long-term Social Circle residents and past presidents of the club, Elaine Burris and Rosemary Sells. And our current secretary from Loganville is Debbie Davis Haynes. And we are delighted to be here to do the presentation.
Thank you, ladies.
Okay, and I know time is short, so I'm going to move through it very quickly. Please stop me if there are any questions.
I was told you have an hour, so.
I know we have 10 minutes, so I'm going to work within that. So I wanted to start with who are we? We are not just a bunch of crazy gardener ladies, although we are that too, but we are part of the Walton County Master Gardeners Extension Volunteers. So essentially we're an extension of UGA, and we work under the Walton County agent, who is Joel Burnset, who sends his deep regrets for not being here tonight. We go through training, and we have annual requirements for volunteer hours in the support of our community, which is all of Walton County. And really, our overall mission is to provide unbiased, research-based horticultural information to Georgians, and to really help our communities embrace gardening and be more successful gardeners. We received an $11,600 grant And this grant was earmarked for demonstration gardens, which is a garden that the master gardeners maintain and use it to teach people of the community, the public, how to garden. And we were going to talk to all the communities within Walton County to find partnership opportunities. But when Friendship Park opened, we kind of sped straight to Social Circle because it is such a gorgeous park and we wanted to be a part of it. So what we decided, here are the goals for the overall park, is we wanted to install and maintain a pollinator-themed demonstration garden. We want to provide a place that augments the beauty and tranquility of Friendship Park. We want to create a pollinator sanctuary and provide educational opportunities for the residents of Social Circle and even Walton County and beyond. And we would do this through signage at the garden, workshops at the garden, take-home pamphlets at the garden, and also question and answer booths, which we could do in conjunction with the farmers market. We want to drive community engagement through co-working sessions. So you'll see that we maintain the garden. A team of master gardeners will come in and maintain the garden. But at some point we would like to open it up as volunteer to the broader resident community for educational purposes for them and for the pride and joy of Social Circle and this garden. We want to inspire and support our community to potentially create pollinator gardens in their own backyard. Could you imagine Social Circle being the pollinator city of Georgia someday, where we have pollinator gardens throughout? And then finally, we want to foster green exercise. And of course, we want to increase awareness and access to us as master gardeners and the support we can provide. Okay, so we first started off by designing our design principles. What guideposts do we need for this garden? And we decided we wanted 90% of the plants to be pollinator attractors, either through providing pollen or nectar, being sources of shelter for pollinators, or for being host plants, meaning the larvae grow up and need that plant to establish themselves. We also decided we wanted a majority of the plants, greater than 50%, to be natives. Natives are beautiful and they benefit the landscape in so many ways. We wanted to educate on natives also. We wanted the plantings to offer a balance of perennials, shrubs, and annuals. We knew that the selected plants needed to be workhorse of the garden. They need to be high performers with long bloom period. We must provide all-season interest. It cannot just look good during the summer, easy bloom period. It had to look good all year. And we needed continuous blooms from shrubs and perennials from early spring through late fall. We have educational signage to teach. We would label all perennials and shrubs with an engraved name tag, which would have scientific name, common name, and cultivar. And the reason for this is if a visitor to the garden comes and wants to replicate that in their garden, they know exactly what to go buy and get. We wanted to add hardscape, tubbled rock edging, and art to add more interest. And then finally, we set our overall year one budget at $3,000. And the outcome, we couldn't be prouder. I think these ladies just hit it out of the park, along with the full team. It's approximately 410 square feet, 90 linear feet. It's this really sweet asymmetric bean shape for interest. We've got beautiful tumbled rock, edging selected. There's a piece of it over here. It is huge, it is deep, it adds beauty. It is also thick and big enough that there wouldn't be any kind of safety risk associated with it. Most of it would be buried for easy maintenance. We are working with a local sculptor, and I'll talk about that in a future slide, for a custom metal sculpture. And where we've netted out is 21 different shrubs and perennials will be in this garden. Some are old garden favorites. Many are new and unique varieties that will stimulate and excite the public. It has nearly 100 total perennials and shrubs in it, and the design was created to provide beauty from all sides. So whether you're walking up the driveway, in the back of the garden, or on the sidewalk, whatever angle you approach it, it will look beautiful. We did succeed in our goals too. 100% of the plant material is pollinator friendly, and we did make it over 50% native. Finally, we have evergreens, we have grass plumes, and we have art, all to create broad interest. So what is our commitment? What are we doing here? Our goal is to ensure that this garden is always the pride of Social Circle Walton County residents. They come here and it inspires them to want to come visit it and perhaps replicate something like it in their own yard. And also, we need it to reflect positively on us. So we would have a bi-weekly team from early spring to late fall working in the garden, doing all the garden chores that are necessary to create a garden that is well-maintained, impeccably upkept. We want to add seasonal color, annual, so that in the winter, we still have something pretty to come see. And we'll do an annual mulch refresh. We'll continue with community engagement all year. And finally, we do have an ongoing budget. We estimate that in addition to the $3,000 initial investment, it's going to cost us about $400 a year to maintain it. Transfer out plants, do seasonal color, update mulch, all of that. Here is the overall garden design. And due to lack of time, I'm not going to go through it all. What I will say is the team did an outstanding job of picking plants that provide balance, color, height differences, I would like to say, so in the very center of the garden is the art piece, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Flanking the art piece in front, that purple, is 6 lavender plants. The reason we selected lavender, it's not a native, it is pollinator friendly. It's going to grow about 2 feet tall, it's going to smell beautiful, it's going to just provide such a gorgeous base and offset for that piece of art. We do have one tree in there, it's called a chase tree. Chase trees are not native, but anybody who's familiar with chase trees know the beautiful purple blooms that come up in the middle of the summer that are just bee magnets. And then if you deadhead it, it will bloom again in the fall. Again, I know time is short, so I'm not going to go through the rest. But if you have questions, our contact information is here. And we do have pictures of all the plants along with the cultivars we've selected. And so we'll just flip through them so you can see them. That's okay, go ahead. I did want to talk about that milkweed silky, which is going to be in the center of the garden. And milkweed is a phenomenal plant because not only does it attract butterflies like crazy, you're going to see monarchs all over it, you're going to see swallowtails all over it, but it is a host plant. And what we hope, which happened to many of ours in our own backyard, is they were covered with monarch caterpillars, so much so that they denuded the plant. And we just think about students and kids walking through, and they all learn about pollinators in school, and seeing these plants that are just covered with monarch caterpillars, it will be inspiring and awesome. The other thing I just want to talk about is that purple muley grass, which is just phenomenal, light and airy, and will add a very soft feel to the garden. And I'll just let you flip through the rest. We will, like any plant, when you plant it, it grows and fills in the space. So early on, we'll fill in kind of the blank spaces with annuals as the perennials and shrubs grow out and mature. But just to let you know that we have actually considered our annuals with as much passion and energy that we considered the perennials. Again, they're the same requirement, that they attract pollinators, that they're beautiful, they look good in bloom or not in bloom, they have long bloom period. So just know that there'll be annual color change and that we've been thoughtful about that. Moving on to the garden sculpture, which will be the center of the garden. We're so proud to present this. This will be the centerpiece. A local artist, Rick Sells, is going to custom make this sculpture for us. He is, I won't say the better half, but he is a good half for Rosemary. He is an artist. He graduated in 1969 with a fine arts degree of UGA, and he's been the past president of the Monroe Art Guild. He has work that's been featured in gardens in Norcross and also in churches in Monroe and Madison. So Rick is a very talented sculptor. And here, this mesmerizing mantis is an example of Rick's work. That's not what's going to be in our garden. That would be way too huge. But it is an awesome piece, and we're going to have something that is going to be much smaller, about 4.5 feet tall. It's going to be rusted metal. It's going to be very abstract, almost look like a cockerel with a flower coming off of it, with a dragonfly aligning on it. So we're very excited about it. We don't have the final design, but what it is, we'll bring it to the appropriate Adele for final approval. Rick has put sculptures in other public places, so he knows about the safety measures that we need to take to ensure that nobody gets hurt or does anything they shouldn't with it. So it should be complete and installed by spring. And I just want to remark that Rick is donating a significant amount of materials and time to this project. So this is what we need from Social Circle, provided we get approval to move forward. These are the things that we really need. The first two are almost non-negotiable. The others are nice to have. The first one is we need 1 inch of irrigation each week if Mother Nature fails to provide it, particularly in year 1. None of the plants we're putting in are water needy. They're very stalwart type of plants, but any plant in its first year needs consistent moisture for it to get established. Once it's in, it can be a little more drought tolerant. So this is one thing that we'll need. The second thing we'll need is we need support with garden installation just by the removal of the turf and potentially tilling of the bed. We'll bring in compost, but we would need heavier equipment than what we have, and then we're out to the races. We do the rest. The nice to haves are if there's access to mulch and or compost, that would be great. Those things are both in our budget, but anything that we don't have to spend in the budget, we can just plow back into plant material and ongoing upkeep. And then, if possible, any pass-through on wholesale pricing, discount pricing for plants, or hardscape materials. And then, of course, we ask that, and I don't know why we wouldn't all work together on this, promote the garden, the joy it can bring, and the activities through newsletters, websites, social media, etc. I'm not going to go through this. This is our proposed timeline, just so that you know we thought it through. We would, pending go, no-go, we would go immediately and take a soil sample, which is not disturbing the turf at all. I know you have the Friendship Festival coming up, but we need to get data on how that soil needs to be amended to optimize it for the plant material. Then, right after the Friendship Festival, we could come in then till up the bed. We think we could get about half of it planted this fall, pending plant availability. Finish it off in the spring. By that time, the sculpture should be ready, and we could be ready for a grand opening, certainly by April. This is our team. We really appreciate the time and the thoughtfulness and the potential opportunity of partnership. The next few pages, please, and if you have any questions afterwards, reach out to any of us. Just shoot us an email. We're very passionate about this, and we're very excited about providing all the information you need to make the appropriate decision for Social Circle. And then there is an appendix, just so you know. In the appendix, should anybody have any questions, is a detail of our budget, how we're spending our money. And then there's also a detailed plant list, so if anybody wanted to see that. And with that, there's just one more thing I wanted to say. The Master Gardeners have been working very closely with Social Circle. As you know, this site is very apt in that we have a team that works out in this blueberry orchard, and we maintain that. So an example of how we have successfully partnered with Social Circle in the past, and we graciously look forward to the opportunity to do it in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you, ladies, for being here tonight. Next item up, our council request. Do we have any? Hearing none, the next item is the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion for that, please?
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
A first and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't hear the second.
Second was Charlie. Okay, we're now going to move into our public hearing phase of the meeting. Public hearing tonight is an application for a subdivision, Poplar Forest on Memorial Drive. Ms. Barbara.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you have a sketch plan review for the proposed Poplar Forest subdivision located on Memorial Drive. This parcel consisting of 16 lots applied by Harry Doster Jr. for the owners of J.C. Shepherd Estate. The property is zoned R25, which requires a minimum lot area of 25,000 square feet per lot. Minimum dwelling unit size 2,400 square feet. The setbacks are 35 feet for the front, 15 feet on the side, 20 feet on the rear. All dwelling units must have a garage containing no less than 420 square feet designated to contain no less than 2 automobiles. The subdivision process. The subdivision ordinance requires a 3-step process for approval for a major 5 or more lot subdivision. The first step is the sketch plat, then the preliminary plat, then the final plat. The Planning Commission recommendation held a public hearing for a sketch plan application on August the 25th, 2020. The Planning Commission member Mike Griswold made a motion of approval of the sketch plat. The motion was seconded by Sonora Jackson. All voted yes, none abstained. The sketch plat shall illustrate the ultimate development of the entire parcel owned by the applicant and shall identify the section for which formal plat approval will initially be requested. It shall be prepared at a scale of not more than 1 inch equal to 100 feet and shall include the site topography at the contour intervals of 5 feet or less. The sketch plat was referred back to the Planning Commission by the Council in August 2020 and included the 11 required elements. The Planning Commission meeting, a spokesman for the residents in the surrounding neighborhoods spoke opposing the subdivision due to concerns about the existing sewer system, the stormwater runoff, and a poorly prepared application. Jane Lee, our sewer superintendent, will be present tonight at the council meeting. It should be noted that there is a current funded capital projects to replace the Spearman Pump Station. As part of the planned development, sewer lines in the area were investigated and a line camera to identify the need I&I repairs. The capital project was initiated 2 years ago, initially as a proposal to eliminate the Spearman and other pump stations. As a result of citizen feedback, the project was amended to include the replacement of these aged pump stations with targeted collection lines improvements. Drainage improvements shall accommodate potential runoff from the entire upstream drainage area and shall be designed to prevent increases in the downstream flooding. The city may require the use of control methods such as retention or detention or the construction of an off-site drainage improvement to mitigate the impact of the proposed development. There are regulations, stormwater management standards, that apply to any development proposed. The detailed engineering for stormwater management would be expected in the preliminary and final subdivision plans and would be reviewed by the city's consultant to assert compliance with those standards. Maintenance of the detention pond is required by HOA for the subdivision under the city subdivision ordinance. Finally, the speaker questioned a number of items on the application material attached to the Planning Commission agenda. These items were reviewed. The packet material were confusing because of all the versions of the application from its initial submission through the latest update that was referred back to the Planning Commission in July were attached. Questions concerning the application for the sketch plan. I reviewed the items noted and found the items have been corrected in the latest sketch plat package upon which the Planning Commission acted in August. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions for Barbara? Is the applicant here?
Good evening. My name is Stanton Porter. attorney from Winder. Address is 98 North Broad Street, and I represent the applicant. Wanted to speak a few minutes about this sketch that's before you tonight. We've been going through this a while now, and just first wanted to touch on what I did last month, which at this, just sort of thinking through this process, unlike a lot of times when coming before different counties or cities, we're not asking for a rezone. This property is already zoned for what we want, but I've got to get approval for what this small subdivision would be. And so we've submitted something that the city has said meets all of the requirements. And at this first of 3 steps, it's really sort of like a 10,000 aerial view, not necessarily looking at every little detail. Those will be dealt with in the second and the third step after more studies are done and after we get further into the development. So the question really tonight is sort of, does it meet those requirements? And I believe that the city's review, as you just heard, said that all the requirements in the most recent version do meet that, and it was approved at the last meeting. A few things to note is that one of the lots, the one that sort of has the sort of flag lot that at the top, discussions about donating part of that to the church, and that there's been a willingness on their part to accept that piece of land, so that lot actually will look a little bit different. And then track 1, which is the large lot, it's going to be left that way. One thing that will go on that lot is a stormwater retention facility. Right now, the water that flows down that road is dumped directly into a stream that's there, which, from my understanding, would, if that was being built today, that's not how you would do it. You're increasing the flow of the water beyond its natural flow as it currently sits. So by taking the water that runs off the road and the water that'll come off the driveways on these houses and putting it in that retention, you're going to slow down that water flow and bring it back to its more natural flow. Applicant's also been in discussion with the school. This property touches the school, which I know where we were meeting last time this came up in front of you, on creating a permanent easement that the cross-country team or parts of the school can use part of what's sort of like almost like a road or an old track that's on this larger lot. The property that the school is on itself was part of this larger estate at one time. So I know that the family and the applicant feels like it'd be appropriate to continue that partnership with the school. There were some suggestions about conditions that be put in place in terms of beyond what's required in the R25 zoning. As part of our application, we did submit a set of covenants that we intend to record when it gets down after the second and third phase. Once the plat's actually approved, record those covenants that incorporate some of those suggestions. There are some of those conditions that I don't know if objection or objecting to is the right word, but we just had some concerns over sort of not necessarily with the intent, but making sure that it lines up with what can be done on a building side and also producing a product that's going to be really good for the city and attract the kind of people that the city wants there. And so some of these were things that just are a little bit vague in terms of those conditions, like it has to have craftsman style elements. Everybody has different definitions of what a craftsman style element would be. Some things we're not opposed to, like putting trees along the sidewalk. I know one side already has a sidewalk with trees lining it. It just, the requirement is that they be within just a few feet of the sidewalk, and our concern is down the road that the tree roots are going to uproot that sidewalk. One of the big conditions that would make it difficult to really build the kind of quality product we want is no street-facing garages. We're looking at, one of the important things for traffic is that all the houses have a turnaround. So you back out of your garage. They all have to have a two-car garage. You back out of your garage, and then you can pull forward into the street. That was a pro-offered condition on our part. Based on the way the lots are and the size houses that we're looking to build, and also the potential of doing sort of that third workshop or third golf cart type garage, we just can't do that. That won't fit in there if all garages have to be side facing, if we're not allowed to have any front facing garages. And if you drive around in this area, there are certainly a number of houses directly in the vicinity of this small development that do have some front facing garages. So I think before you tonight, again, just quickly recapping, is that we're at the very beginning stage. The requirements even allow this to be hand-drawn. Obviously, we've gone beyond that. There's been a lot of work put in this to make sure that we're creating a really quality product that's going to be good for Social Circle. It's going to be pretty houses. They're going to attract quality homeowners that'll be good neighbors to the people that are already there. And it'll also improve the area around it. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we are in a public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing now. If there's anyone here to speak in favor of this sketch plat application, please come to the microphone. Seeing none, anyone here to speak in opposition, please?
You got one.
David. Oh, come on up, Ben. Sorry, I didn't see you.
I know I'm wearing all black tonight. It's hard to see me in here. Johnny Cash. Stanton did a good job. We're excited about this project. Mr. Shepard, J.C. Shepard, loves Social Circle. He developed Brandon Woods subdivision, which most of the people here tonight live in. The fact that these 32 acres, 16 homes, it's a 2-acre density, which is much higher than the 25,500 required. So I think it'd be a great street scene for Social Circle. Walkability's big. I know in Monroe, downtown's exploding with homes, you know, $350,000, $400,000. People love downtown. So I see the same thing happening here. And I thank you for your consideration for the family.
Thank you, Ben. Ben, I'm sorry, can you give us your name and address for the record?
Aaron Bittendorfer Jr., 644 Kings Ridge, Monroe, Georgia.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in favor? Seeing none, anyone to speak in opposition, and same applies, please give us your name and address.
My name is Nicholas Peters. I live at 492 Branham Circle. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the residents of Branham Circle, Gabriel Way, and South Forest Avenue. I want to say, first, I do appreciate that the builder does want to keep the R25 zoning, but from that, we do have several concerns, several questions, and also a few requests as well. First concern is stormwater runoff. This area is, Strouds Creek is the drainage basin for the eastern or western side of Highway 11. This collects a lot of water. We have seen new developments in our area, particularly Arbor Glen, that have tried to mitigate the drainage issues with mixed results, but mostly those problems have not been solved. They've been moved to other areas. So residents who did not experience drainage issues now do, whereas others may have had their problem alleviated, but overall the problem was not solved. We are concerned, given the drainage down Strouds Creek and the current issues with flow in Strouds Creek, any efforts to mitigate this may have similar results of just moving the problem. So some questions we have about that tonight. We would like to know what is the expected runoff for the proposed number of homes, which appears to be 15. What is the current runoff now? So that would just show us how much increase in runoff there would be. We would like to know what determines the size of the detention area or areas and where that would be. And there are current detention areas along the road. We would like to know what happens to those. Are they going to be modified, changed? And during construction, how would that affect drainage? Who is going to maintain the detention areas during construction? And who is going to maintain those areas after completion, which was assuming be a homeowners association. But then what if the homeowners association fails? There are retention areas throughout town which the homeowners associations do fail to maintain. They are visible. We do not need a poorly maintained drainage system in sight of the high school where much of our traffic drives. Also, who is going to provide oversight for the development and construction activities? And last, in stormwater, will the wetlands be delineated prior to construction? And who will be responsible for that? Our second major concern is, as mentioned, sewage. We have experienced sewage overflow or sewage spills in sewage lines on this property as well as on property of neighbors in Branham Circle. Those are at best condition a poor smell, at worst condition a health concern, both to us local residents as well as downstream. So we would like to know how many sewage spills have occurred in the past 24 months, how many gallons was the largest spill, and what was the cause for that spill, and what time frame was there from spill to resolution of that problem. We would also like to know what is the effect of each additional home to that system, which may and likely is listed as high for inflow and infiltration. So how much is one home and how much is all 15 homes to that system? In the planning and zoning meeting, the developers indicated there was no easement associated with the property. And there are current sewer lines and pump stations on this property. So do those easements need to be addressed, or was something left off? Also, very visible from Memorial Drive, there are manhole covers on the lots on the Branham Circle side that are elevated 3 to 4 feet. We would like to know from the developer, what is the plan for those manhole covers? Are they going to be visible in these people's front yards and then now more visible to those who are driving on the street as well? And also, with those sewage lines being on private property and not on right-of-way, if there are damage to sewer lines, the city would then be responsible for upkeep and maintenance of individuals' property. So with those concerns, we would also like to make some additional requests. There were conditions requested by planning and zoning, and we would like to request a few basic additional ones. Currently, the setback from the back of the property to any structure on an R25 lot is 20 feet. Given that these lots average 280 feet from street to the rear of property, we would like to see that changed to a 65-foot with at least 25 foot of natural buffer. For those of us on Branham Circle, we believe that natural buffer would help mitigate noise from Memorial Drive. It also helps maintain the appearance. We live in a very wooded neighborhood. If those current natural area is destroyed, that affects us. But again, it would also increase noise from Memorial Drive. We would like to make sure that any detention ponds not only have a fence as safety required, but we would also like to request appropriate landscaping to make sure that those areas look as nice as possible, both for residents as well as visitors, those who are traveling to our schools. We would like a construction traffic flow plan. Memorial Drive is already very busy with school traffic and traffic to ACE. So any additional traffic there from large trucks, construction vehicles, we would like to know how their traffic flow plan is. And also we understand that the plan is to sell these lot by lot. And so we would like to know who's going to be building the homes. We would like an approved list of builders, or at least some requirements for the builders to make sure that we have quality construction in our community. And then lastly, this was a suggestion mentioned by Scott Gaither on planning and zoning, but was not incorporated in that request, would be to offset the houses so that the front doors don't line up. It gives a more appealing view, makes the community look less cookie cutter. We would also like to request that all infrastructure, sidewalks, detention pond, all utilities be completed before any construction of homes begins. And let's see. We also want to make sure that someone from the city does oversee maintenance. There are still on Arbor Glen and vacant lots construction debris, which has been brought before the city. There, up until recently, was still construction debris in Jubilee, homes that were constructed 8 years ago. Again, this is a main street through city. We don't need to represent our city in that way. And then last, our neighborhood would like, if this does proceed, a facilitated meeting with the developer, city representatives, and the area landowners before the second phase in the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. Still 2 minutes remaining for anybody who would like to speak in opposition. Seeing none, Stan, would you like to try to answer any of those questions? You still have 3 minutes.
I'll quickly address a few of the concerns that were raised. As far as drainage, just remembering that this is the real initial sketch plan review. A full drainage study is in the next phase. And another thing to remember is that this development, unlike a lot of subdivisions, there's no new roads added. And so what we're taking is just some driveways, which is going to increase the water flow. I don't know how much that is. I mean, that's up to the engineers, but they're going to have to work with the city. They're also going to have to work with EPD and Georgia's state requirements to make sure that the runoff is appropriately handled through whatever size retention or detention pond. That's why we didn't specify exactly what it is, what its size is, but we've got plenty of space on track one to stop that stormwater, let the sediment settle before then it flows into the creek. The HOA, I mean, even in a small subdivision like this, we have presented a draft of some covenants that we intend to use, and the HOA would be in charge of maintaining, just like all subdivisions, maintaining the retention pond that's on there. A couple of questions. The buffer, I don't know if I can necessarily speak to increasing from 20 feet to 65. I don't want to lock in that, I think that the other concern would just be, we don't want to put the houses too close to the main road. And so I don't think that, a 20-foot natural buffer is going to be a problem. Most builders, they don't want to clear off any more area than they have to. And so an idea that we're going to come in and just completely bulldoze any trees that are there over the whole area, that's not the expectation. But I don't think that we could agree to going from a 20-foot to a 65-foot buffer as is required in R25. And then lastly, just in terms of all infrastructure in before any houses are being built, I mean, certainly utilities, sewage, retention pond, all that's going to have to be in before there's going to be any building permits pulled. Some things like sidewalks, it probably makes more sense as the houses are being built to put those sidewalks in, because you're going to be destroying them with bulldozers, tractors, trucks and stuff driving over that as they're being built. So again, ask just in this very initial phase that we say this current plat, it meets the requirements that the city has, and let's then get into the next stage. Mr. Doster, the estate that owns the property, they can continue to work with the city and the homeowners on If there are some conditions down the road that need to be made part of the final plat, we can do that. There's time to work that out. This isn't the last step. And so just ask tonight that you go ahead and let us move on to that next step. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll now close the public hearing and bring it back to the council for discussion and action, keeping in mind that we are here tonight to consider whether to approve the sketch plat.
I guess question is, do we have sewage on those properties without right-of-ways, easements, or do we have easements to all our sewer, which we should?
It is a public sewer system that has been in place for a number of years. So the answer to the question is it is a public sewer system. I can't answer the title search question, but I can say that any questions or discrepancies would be addressed in the plat development and conditions.
Tyson, did that answer your question? I believe those items are also facing us in the preliminary plat when we get to that point. Any other discussion?
Yes?
I'm sorry, Judy, I didn't understand your question. Yes, they are available in our minutes. Yes. Susan, I'll defer to you.
We can.
Ms. Deal, those are available on the city's website, and if you'd like some help finding that, if you'll give me a call tomorrow, I'll be glad to point you in the right direction, or I'll be glad to email it to you if that would be helpful. Or I can get you a copy printed and you can come by the city hall and pick it up at the drive-thru. Whatever works.
Any further discussion? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
What did he say? He's asking for a motion. I'll make a motion to approve the first step of, which is the sketch plat.
We have a motion to approve from Councilmember Jackson. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Folks, I realize some of you are here tonight just for that portion of the meeting, the public hearing, so you're welcome to stay. But if you'd like to leave, we also understand.
Yeah. All they had to do was meet those 11 requirements, or 12 requirements to move on. Just, when they meet those 12 requirements, ain't no way to turn it down. You can't turn them down.
Our next item are the financial statements. Who's here to present those?
I'll be happy to review those. The finance director was unable to be here this evening. She's a little bit under the weather. So we have the financial statements for June and for August, and I'm going to skip through the June. As the council is aware, our fiscal year ends in June, and so we do our audit. The audit process begins in October, and so for each month between June and October, there are some invoices and things that are credited back to the prior fiscal year. So they are in your packet. They show that we're in line with last fiscal year's budget. Relative to the August financials, which is the most recent month, we have bar charts that reflect comparison with last fiscal year, and our revenue is at about 10% of the projected for the year, which is in good shape. Last year at this time we were about 6% in the general fund. The property taxes is a significant portion of the revenue, and those bills don't go out until the end of September. So that's why the first couple of months lag a straight line proportion of the year. Relative to expenditures, we're at about 18% of budgeted, which is right where we were at this time last year. And that's where we would expect to be after 2 months. In the water fund, we're at 12% of what was budgeted as compared to 10% at the same time last year. And we are starting to receive some of our proceeds from the GFA loan for the capital projects that are underway. In expenditures, we're at 15%, which is right in line with where we were at this time last year at 14%. And we've got about 15% of our capital projects scheduled for the year underway. In the gas fund, our revenue is at a little over 11%, which is right at where we were this time last year. And our expenditures are at 16%, which is a little bit ahead of where we were at this time last year at 8%. But the reason is we've got about better than half of our capital projects done in the gas fund. In solid waste, we're right on track with 16% of our revenue received as compared to 15% last year, and the expenses at 8% as compared to 11% last year, and that's the billing is 1 month behind, or the expense is reflected 1 month later, so that will catch up. I'll be happy to answer any questions council may have.
Any questions on the financial statements? Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Susan, did you get that? Okay. Next item is the consent agenda. If you'll take a minute to review that, if you see anything you'd like to pull out and discuss separately. If not, take a motion when you're ready.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second that motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Under old business, the first item up is the Robert Howard recognition. Ms. Shermer, we spoke earlier about how to proceed with this. As far as the presentation, if you would please just give us a little bit of information about how we got to today's meeting, and we'll take it from there.
Okay. Thank you. On July 9th, roadway after Robert Howard, rights activist from Social Circle, referred the item to a work session on August 6th. They considered it at a regular meeting on August 18th, to a work session on September 3rd. On September 3rd, some additional information was provided about Robert Howard.
That's okay. We can move forward from there.
All right, and then as a result of the September 3rd work session, the council asked for it to be placed back on the agenda this evening.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Shermer. Are we ready for a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to name the South Cherokee Bridge in name of Mr. Howard as the Robert Bobby Howard Bridge.
Second.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. And thank you for being here tonight. I know many of you here for that portion of the meeting as well. So, same offer. If you'd like to stay, you can. If not, we understand. Second item is the surplus vehicles and equipment. Ms. Shermer, will you go over that for us, please?
Certainly. This item was considered, was on the agenda last month, and it was tabled. The question related to the sidearm tractor. The memo you have attached clarifies that the surplus is for the sidearm, not the tractor.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve item 2?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion from Mr. Shelton, second from Mr. Aiken. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Next item up is the Walton Chamber Capital Campaign. Ms. Smiley, are you still with us?
They have to auction it.
Is there anything you would like to add to what we've already heard on that? Are there any questions for Terry? I know that we have a couple of contracts that are prepared for us tonight, and I'll pass this on to our attorney, Mr. Powell, to give us those options. I think at our last meeting we spoke about, or no, I'm wrong, that was at the county. They were told that they could only do a 1-year agreement. So I'd like for our attorney to address that tonight and give us both of those options.
That's a constitutional provision that keeps this council from binding future councils. It's not exactly a 1-year time period. Sometimes it's 2 years, depending on where everybody is in their term in the election. We prepared 2 drafts. One way you bypass that provision is by making it a 1-year agreement with an automatic renewal. And if you're trying to hit 3 years, then it would just automatically renew for 3 years and end. And unless council takes an action in the future to stop the 3-year time period. But you're free to do that within the time period in the agreement. So it's an automatically renew, and that's the first one we did. Then we prepared one that satisfies the same requirement. It's a 1-year agreement. You'll just have to approve it on your agenda every year in order to get to the 3-year period. There was a request. We did a few other minor changes to the form agreement, but one of them is we added at the term the footnote that makes the charge, your contribution to the chamber for this revert back to its old percentage is in the agreement as requested by council.
I thought that our old percentage is less than what Terry said it would go to after the 3 years. So I don't think that would be right, because it's going to have to go up some after 3 years. Is that not right, Terry? Now, it will go down from what you were talking about, but it's still going to be more than what it is now.
Go up 10 cents.
I think that's what we put in. Yeah. I
Okay.
think we put it in. And
So it's not our old charge, it's the charge that you're
That we talked
proposing
about.
to go back. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, what we're looking at here is a $1 for a term, either 1 year or automatic renewal for up to 3 years. And at the end of that term, it reverts back to a 50-cent charge, which would come to us every year for review. Is that right, Terry?
And I
Mr.
guess-
Attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I guess my thought was on that, like I said, our council can't bind the other council, so at least they'll have an idea of what we was doing and why we was doing it, and seeing that it revert back down. And that was the thought of that.
Any other discussion on this item? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we take Tony's first option to where it automatically renews every year. Because if we're gonna do it for 3 years, there's no sense in us voting on it unless we gonna bring it up and change it, or another council's gonna do it. So that's my motion, take option 1.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second for a 3-year automatic renewal at the price that was given to us. I believe that's $1 per person. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Terry, for being here tonight. Under new business, we have to refer a subdivision ordinance amendment to Planning Commission for subdivision entrance requirements and adjacent property interconnections. Ms. Shermer?
This is following up to the council's discussion at their work session. And so based on the council's discussion, the attorney has prepared an ordinance that, if the council acts upon it this evening, would go to the Planning Commission for them to advertise a public hearing and make adjustments if they determine, and provide a recommendation back to City Council for council to adopt into the subdivision ordinance. The subdivision ordinance process requires a recommendation by Planning Commission prior to action.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to refer this to Planning and Zoning?
So moved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Brings us to the end of our regular agenda. We do have, let me insert something in there if you don't mind. I know we didn't put it on the agenda, but the Garden Club came graciously earlier and gave us a presentation, and I think they're looking for a recommendation to proceed with this. I don't think we need a vote on that, but if I could get the council's consent where they can know to move forward with that. Do I have the consent?
Did they say the cost to the city was like less than $3,000 or?
Janet, there is no
Okay.
cost to the city, yeah, other than, some occasional manpower, labor, things like that. So there's no hard cost to the city on that.
Yeah. I would just like to see more about it, because like the location and exactly where it's going to be at, because we basically made a maintenance-free park. Only maintenance is cutting the grass.
Mhm.
And if we put flowers in there, and then we're going to be trying to tell kids to stay out of the flower bed, and we gave them a room, a big old grass area to run around. So I would just like to see the location where they're putting it. I see driveway, but you're looking at 16 feet, and the thing's 27 feet. So it's the whole back part of the. You can speak.
Come up
That's
here.
fine.
You can
We're
speak,
just trying
yeah.
to figure out like the ideal location.
I believe that the lady, Ms. Bones, was giving out a package to everyone. I mean, you're supposed to have a package that it describes exactly where the Friendship, and it's marked right now with little flags.
It's just marked as a driveway.
Yeah, it just says
Is-
driveway.
Is that?
Well, there is a,
Does it run all the way to the stage down there, do you know?
Is it that driveway or is it the
it's the driveway that goes, you know, the house that's being renovated? Okay. There's a driveway there. And then this is a little bean-shaped little area that's we've marked off. We came down and worked with Adele. We worked with the extension agent person. But it is not in the way of anything like, you know, activities. That was another consideration we were thinking about, is like, we don't want to take up too much space that would prevent, you know, things like events and stuff like that. So it's out of the way. The master gardeners, it is, like we said, we would be working like every other week to tend to the garden, and it would be kept by us. And the only thing that we need from the city is knowing that we could get watering, which is already a sprinkler system, I think, is behind it. And we need some help with getting some of the grass out of that bean-shaped area, that turf. But other than that, we are solely responsible for the upkeep, and it's our commitment, you know, to do that as master gardeners. We do that as ways of earning hours that keep our status of certification, you know, in place. All of us have to do so many volunteer hours, but anyway, it's been so extremely thought out where you don't have to worry about kids coming in and messing up flowers. They're going to be, you know, little signs of explanation. There'll be, it'll be a nice border around it, and it's just not a situation where, you know, you would worry about somebody coming in and ruining it, because we'll be upkeeping it, and that's our promise, you know, to do the work. We're not asking the city to just help us with removing that grass in that area. If you go down there, it's marked, you know, directly across from Ace, you know.
I'd be happy to help if you like. There isn't an exhibit in this packet, but if you're looking at Friendship Park, the area they marked is outside the lower loop walkway. So it's halfway between North or South Cherokee and the picnic shelter, and it's to the right of the Friendship Park walkway in that relatively skinny area between the walkway loop and the gravel Ware Street.
So is it in the area where their Christmas tree was?
Yes, that's
Yes.
right.
Okay. So
Yes.
And it's marked as, I
Yes.
think about 400 square feet, so 20 by 20, roughly.
Yes.
It does not go back as far as the,
Stage
as the,
area.
as
Really
the
doesn't.
pavilion. There's a pavilion in between it and the stage in the back.
It does not go back that far.
Yeah,
The picnic-
it doesn't crest the hill.
It's right there in the front, and it doesn't come from the road. I'm sorry, I was in a presentation about this morning that presented to Main Street, although I missed a good portion of that. But my understanding was it doesn't come as far up as the sidewalk. There's some green space between the sidewalk and the garden, and it's kind of placed behind the Friendship Park sign. It would start
Yeah.
pretty much in that area and go back about 25 feet. So it's not intrusive by any means, but
No.
Let me ask the question. How are you going to keep people kids really, from picking flowers and just playing in it and so forth? I mean, it's wide open.
You know, it's the same thing as if you go to the State Botanical Gardens up in Athens. You know, there's little signs, there's things around, and I just
know how
really
kids
don't
are,
foresee
too.
that as a big issue for us. And if something is something happens to it, then we would replace it. You know, because this is a very unusual situation to be in. I've been a master gardener for 12 years, and the county extension, Walton County, extended grant money to us to be able to spend on demonstration gardens, and those are educational gardens. I mean, I worked on the junior ROTC garden over there at the elementary school. The other lady that was here, Miss Burris, has walked on having a wonderful kind of like inner, I can't say inner city, but between this lunchroom and the other part of the school, an enclosed area, did a beautiful garden. And, the children did not go out. They helped plant it and things like that, and they did not go out there and try to destroy anything. So I really think this is an educational garden, and hopefully, people will be supervised as we were trying to make it as a nice place to stroll by, and also do some workshops, or one of the things Master Gardeners do are educational activities. We do workshops. We've maintained, we've helped maintain the blueberry garden down here. We've pruned. We've been down there. We've had workshops in this building about how to grow blueberries. And so we are so open to doing things with children as well as adults. And so we have great plans, to be able to make the park a more enjoyable place, but we carefully picked out the spot. So it wouldn't be too near the Friendship Park sign, and we carefully thought about don't plant anything in front of that sign that would, obstruct the words, and, make sure that it's easy to walk by or whatever, or would not interfere. So we made a trip down with Adele, and the county extension agent came, and so we worked out, the plans are very detailed, but our job is to maintain it for you, and I mean, it's all at no cost, except the fact we need some help, just making sure there's a sprinkler system already there, and we would need some watering, and we need a little help with getting that turf, up. But actually, all of us really care. There's a lot of, in the Master Gardener program, there's a lot of former teachers, former nurses, former people of all different backgrounds, and it's extremely nice to be able to exchange information with people. I work the post office, I've been doing it for 12 years, the little planters and some of the shrubberies and things like that. Some of the best experiences of my life since I retired from teaching have been the interaction with the public, just talking by, if somebody comes by, they want some information, or a lot of times I just give them a cutting of something. It makes for just a friendly, enjoyable place to be. And so when I heard about the grant that was being given to some different cities, hopefully there'll be one from, the money will be shared with Monroe and maybe Walnut Grove or Loganville. But I thought about Social Circle. This is where I've made my home for 43 years. And I thought about what a neat experience, because you're already doing a lot of things for the downtown, making, eating outside and stuff like that, and especially with the, seems like the front yard of the Blue Willow is kind of going down, right now. But it's be a very nice place to walk or have activities.
My thing is, I'm not against the flowers. I'm not against the flowers. It's the fact that when we created a park, we was looking for a park as a venue for concerts. So I'm looking more of the more green space we got, the more people we can sit down. And this is it's 27 feet by 16, but right now that is a bigger area of people sitting down when we're creating a park. I mean, we have the whole Burt's Field down there. We have a whole softball field that we can, that'd be an excellent place for a flower garden and educational, because it's a whole lot down there. It can go as big as you want it to go, because we got a whole field down there that we're not doing anything with.
I hear what you're saying, Ty, and we were careful to avoid that main big area where you might have events and things like that. But if you want things like visitors to notice Social Circle, they're not going to be going down to Burkesville. They're going to be going down to, the middle of town and walking around and seeing things, so it's like a gift to the city, and we are honoring the space. We're not trying to grab space away from you, but we're trying to enhance the space that is there, and it can be a beautiful situation. And the fact is, how many times do you have something that the city or somebody wouldn't have to maintain? We maintain it. We don't earn anything, and we wanted to spend that grant money in the town where we live and where we've given our lives as teachers and whatever. And so if you don't want the gift, okay, we'll go to another city. But if you would like to enhance, we also thought about doing activities with people underneath those pavilion spaces. I think there might be some picnic tables, possibly.
There will be, yes.
It's an excellent activity. All of us have been in schools, worked with kids. I've done nature classes with my daughter teaches in the school. I cannot tell you how many activities we have done to benefit the public. So I can only promise that we would not try to interfere or take more space or do anything else, that would be a problem. But we did think about, first, I'm on the tree board, and when I learned that there was money to be spent, I thought, gosh, what could make a really just a beautiful situation for our town, the town where I made my home. And I thought, most any time people are coming down there, if we are working with it every other week, maintaining, I don't think you got to worry about people, messing it up. So, have any more questions for me?
It looks like a lot of time and effort was put into this.
Extremely.
I enjoyed the presentation, and these flowers would be beautiful for City of Social Circle,
Right.
I think. I don't think we should deny it because we think children are going to be playing in the garden. Maybe our children need to be exposed to something like this.
That's exactly right.
So they-
Honestly, you're
Right.
telling the gospel truth, because
I'm looking at this as an opportunity for
that's
social
exactly
circle.
what it is.
Yes.
And I have been in the school volunteering. I tried to do a nature class with my daughter's class in 4th grade, and I took clay, made terrariums and things like that, and I had children that were afraid to touch the dirt. You don't think about that, but kids do not have that opportunity to interact, like to see a dragonfly, to see. I raised a butterfly in my room at school, in the art room, and it was so exciting. It's an educational activity. That's what a demonstration garden is. It's just not a pretty place. It's a place where you can, who knows, what all can become of it. But I think Social Circle would be a better place to have something beautiful for people strolling around downtown. And there's really not a lot of room over there at the Friendship Park place. The garden over there by the post office. There's a lot. It's play area and stuff like that. And I think the garden club has done some things. But let me say for sure, we are not the garden club. We are people who have, a lot of us, we've put the time in to. There's a lot of professional people and other people, volunteers, that work with this program. And because I joined this Master Gardener program, I did not know, I'm a graduate of university, but I hadn't had any contact with university in about 40 years until I finished teaching. And they offered opportunities for Master Gardeners to travel overseas. And I traveled 3 times to Europe with them. I did not know what I was getting into, but it's sort of like the same way. It's like, opportunities come about, and how many times is somebody going to maintain something for you at no cost? Exactly. So we just need the water, and we need some help with getting our little spot cleared. I'm sorry to take too much time.
Thank you, Rosemary, and I apologize for calling you Janet. I think I did earlier. It's hard to see up here who's in the audience. Tracy?
I'm going to go. Yes.
Ty? Charlie?
I'm fine with it.
Steve? Okay, I believe, and I'm just throwing this out, three of the council persons are okay with going forward. We have a work session coming up, I don't know the exact date, I think
First.
around the
October the 1st.
around the 1st of October. It was suggested earlier, now this is just a suggestion for y'all to look at and possibly, consider this, to split the garden into two and put it on each side. And I don't know, I'm kind of speaking not knowing if there are plans. Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why, they got a plan, they presented us a plan, why we want, they're the people that's
Yeah,
gonna maintain it.
You're right,
It needs
Steve.
to be in,
Yeah, it's a gift to us. It's kind of like our Walton County Community Center that's coming. It's the county's, not ours. So,
why would you split it in two? Why would you split it in half? Why would you split it in half on one side, half on the other?
all right. Thank you, Rosemarie. I think you have your authorization to move forward. Yes. I saw that. Of course, we're coming into winter months, so I'm curious as to what kind of plannings you can have there. Yes. Yes, you can. Thank you again, Rosemary.
And for me, Ms. Sells, it's more so I want to see the location. I want to go out and look and see. And that's why I said I'm going to go out and I just want to see the location. And that was that's more so for me.
Don't say anything else.
Okay. All right. Need a motion to go into executive session for
So
personnel
moved.
reasons.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're now in executive session and take about a 2 or 3 minute recess if you don't mind.